Who's doing the final? She said, but she's working on Ethan. Her daughter's taking her daughter's. What's that? I don't know how they got connected. I think it's Warren's doing the movie. Yeah. Yep, you're good to go. Oh, yeah.
Good evening, everybody. This is Seth Engelborg, Chair of the Nantucket Conservation Commission. We're meeting today, Thursday, February 5th, 2026 at 5 p.m. in a hybrid fashion. The first thing that we'll do, well, actually, those here in present personally are in the public safety facility community room at 4 Fairgrounds Road, and the hybrid attendees are on Zoom. First thing that we'll do tonight is establish a quorum of members, of which we have the following: Mike Mizzarelli,
Here.
RJ Turcott,
Here.
Joe Plandowski,
Here.
John Schaefer,
Here.
Seth Engelborg's here. I'll now read the continuances on tonight's agenda, of which we have the following. Under notice of intent waiver required, Robert F. Greenhill Revocable Trust, 16 Hoyks Hollow Road, SE 483917, continued till February 19th. Town of Nantucket, Baxter Road Alternative Access, SE 483945, continued February 19th. Nantucket Islands Land Bank, 22 Cathcart Road, SE 483954, continued February 19th. Harborview LLC, 94 Hulbert Avenue, SE 483957, continued February 19th. In our public meeting, under request for determination of applicability, Town of Nantucket, 59 through 83 Baxter Road, continued February 19th. And I believe that's all. With those continuances, is there a motion to accept the agenda?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We do need to do, or is there a second? Thank you, Joe. We do need to do a roll call vote. Mike Mizzarelli,
Aye.
RJ Turcott,
Aye.
Joe Plandowski,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Seth Engelborg, aye. That carries unanimously. Moving on to our announcements, the Nantucket Conservation Commission meeting is being audio and video recorded. Please do not use your own devices to make any recordings, audio or video. If you need to use cell phones or any type of electronic device, please do so outside. Anything you do on a cell phone, including calls, texts, etc., will be considered part of the open public meeting record. At this point, we'll move on to update on public comment questions from prior meetings, which we do not have any at this point. Is there any public comment? We'll be holding to the select board's established procedures for public comment, limiting comments to 3 minutes or less, and not engaging in deliberation, simply taking comment for the future. If you're physically present in the room and you wish to comment, approach one of the microphones. And if you are on Zoom, raise your hand virtually. At this point, if you're physically present in the room and wish to comment, approach the microphone. Seeing none, I see that we do have public comment on Zoom. So Burton Balkine, please introduce yourself for the record with your name and make your piece.
Thank you, Chairman. Burton Balkind. I am president of a nonprofit called the Nantucket Coastal Conservancy, and I am before you guys for public comment for 2 issues. I didn't see either one of them on the agenda. Please feel free to stop me if you're going to discuss. The first one is the house that's at the end of Mothball Way. I think it might be a Hummock Pond Road address, but anyways, that property had some debris that I took pictures of and sent to the Natural Resources Department. I just asked for a public meeting so we can find out if that property has been cleaned up. The second part is pertaining to Baxter Road. And I know there's been a lot of developments, and I didn't know if you were going to talk about anything tonight. I did want to make a public comment about it, but I wanted to check with you first to make sure nothing's going to be spoken about it tonight.
Thank you. Related to Hummock Pond Road, we are in receipt of the submission from Mr. Balkan, and staff is looking into it. We don't have any information at this point, or actually Will does have information, so. Feel free to make a quick comment, but we should refrain from deliberation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And then we'll talk about Baxter Road after, so we'll go ahead.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
All
okay.
right. Through you, Seth, Spruce, you can't even talk tonight. Spruce, check in with me tomorrow, but I actually went out there this morning with Jeff, and I have heard from the property's caretaker actually like an hour before the meeting that they're planning to go clean that stuff up. But if you want to chat about it tomorrow, you know where to get me.
In relation to Baxter Road, we will have a very brief update, probably in staff reports. There, as you mentioned, there has been a lot of, we'll just call them things happening recently. And we aren't going to be doing any type of deliberation or extensive discussion on the area tonight, but we do have a brief update. So if you'd like to make a comment, now is the time.
Thank you, Chairman Engelberg. I'd like to make a statement. This is from the Coastal Conservancy, and we find that vandalism is not wanted in our community, and we definitely condone that action, saying that we don't want vandalism on our island. If anyone has any information, please contact SBPF. And I have some more things to say about it, but I think I'll wait for your deliberation. I know there's not going or your talk tonight. I know there's not going to be any public comment, but I can always comment at the next meeting. I would ask that you schedule a discussion for the next meetings, and it's on the agenda so we can have a robust conversation on what's going on. Thank you very much, Chairman.
Thank you. A discussion will certainly be scheduled at some point in the future when we are able to, but I cannot tell you what meeting that will be. So at this point, does anyone else have a public comment? Seeing not, we will move on to our public hearing. We will start with notice of intent, no waiver required. As a reminder, what we do is list these out to see if anyone would like to open them. And then if so, we will. If not, we will vote to close them as a block. But we're going to do it a little bit differently because I need to recuse from 113 Eel Point Road. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about items 2 and 3, Allen's Lane and Short Road. And then we'll go back to item 1. So Tejada, 1 Allen's Lane, SE 48 3961. Would anybody like to open that application? Commissioners? Members of the public? No. 2 Shore Nantucket LLC, 2 Shore Road, SC 48 3963. Would anyone you would like to? Okay. That's good. We'll get your information in a bit, but what we're gonna do is ask Will, do we have everything we need to close Tejada at 1 Allen's Lane, SC 48 3961?
Yes, you do.
Is there a motion to close?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And
Second.
we know that Commissioner Williams joined the meeting at 5:08 p.m. Thank you, Linda and Mike, for the second. By roll call vote, Mike Mazzarelli,
Aye.
RJ Turcott,
Aye.
Linda Williams,
Aye.
Joe Planowski,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Seth Engelberg, aye. That carries unanimously. Okay, so now we're gonna open the hearing for Two Shore Nantucket LLC at Two Shore Road, SC 483963, represented by Paul Santos. Paul, good evening.
Thank you. For the record, Paul Santos with Nantucket Surveyors on behalf of the property owner and applicant Two Shore Nantucket LLC. Shore Road is a small, what essentially looks like a driveway located off of Francis Street. Property itself is surrounded by a mix of commercial, municipal, and residential uses. Plan that you see before you depicts Shore Road. The area of Francis Street is not depicted. There is one residential home to Francis Street, for which this property once was part, and it was subdivided to the planning board process. To the north, if you will, is the town's Salt Marsh Center, which is located in this particular area here. Salt Marsh Center, this is the parking lot, or the rear parking lot for the Salt Marsh Center. To the west, if you will, a mix of residential and commercial, and residential along Orange Street as you make the corner coming off of Francis Street. The application before you is for proposed improvements to the existing site, specifically the move on of the existing dwelling located at 19 Washington Street. That project was before you. It's SE 483927, in which it was a redevelopment of a piece of property across the street, not that far from this site here, located directly on the harbor. The application itself is to take the dwelling that is currently located at 92 Washington Street and move it to this particular site. That area would be this location that you see here, which is the main dwelling. And then this is an attachment or a add-on to that existing dwelling from 92 Washington Street. To come to this location, it does require that this piece here would have to be modified in order to meet the zoning setbacks located within this particular zone. So this dwelling and this dwelling here, which are contributing structures under the HDC guidelines, will be moved from 92 Washington Street to this particular lot, and combined with the existing dwelling, which is this dwelling here, to create one residential property. That's the first component of it. Once that work is done, there'll be a deck constructed at the back portion of the relocated dwelling. And then there'd be a pool inset into the deck above grade within the deck. There's a pool and spa located within the complete deck area. There is also a component by whereas this existing garage will be located further away from what is the driveway or Shore Road. And again, it will conform to the zoning setbacks. It will be just relocated within that particular area there. All the proposed work is proposed within land subject to coastal storm flowage. The property itself is on the borderline of the flood zone AE 9 and flood zone AE 8 here. So we're completely within flood zone AE 8. No other resource areas exist on the property or create buffer zones on the particular property itself. So this is a filing for work within land subject to coastal storm flowage. Having said that, we did already present the project to CRAC, and I'll go through that a little bit later once we kind of work through the entire proposal here. Now, while it's not necessarily required as part of this application, they are also intending to, once this structure is moved, elevate the existing structure to be compliant with the current 10th edition of the Mass Building Code with regard to the elevation of the structure itself. The grade elevation around the site varies somewhat, but for all practical purposes, it's around elevation 5. The flood zone in this particular area is elevation 8, which would require, at a minimum, under the 10th edition of the code, that the first floor be elevated to elevation 10. Current edition of the building code requires that in a flood hazard zone, your first floor elevation will be elevated to the flood zone elevation +2. So in this particular case, flood zone is elevation 8. They were proposing the building to go to elevation 10 along with the addition. Garage would not need to be elevated. That would be similarly a slab on grade as it is now, and it would just be relocated. That would not be elevated, nor is it required to be elevated. In doing so, what you see in red is all the essentially improvements that will occur on the site, the enclosing of this porch area. All these areas represent what would become the new landings and steps to gain access to the property due to the fact that it's being elevated. The move on, I think, is a fairly straightforward request. The pool area, which we all have went through many hearings on the Mariner Way property, is a similar proposal to the Mariner Way property, which was to elevate the pool above the grade, and it would sit flush on the deck. Ultimately, the Mariner Way project, the project was finished and the pools were never constructed. The reason being was that because the HDC, once that component got to the HDC, the pools were elevated above the deck floor between visibility from public way and so forth. The applicant at one point just chose not to construct those pools. This particular case, we are elevating above grade enough, whereas the pool would be sitting flush within the deck. And in the application itself, we did specify a 12-inch separation between the existing grade and the bottom of the pool, as we had done on the Mariner Way projects. The system here would be a foundation or a crawl space system, concrete foundation with pertinent flood vents to allow floodwaters to pass and repass through the site. The basement areas or the crawl space areas would be gravel base in order to attain the pervious nature underneath each of the structures. And then you would have the flood vents around the structure itself. The requirement for the flood vents is would be based on the square footage of the structure. In this particular case, the flood vents we utilize accommodate a 200 square foot area. So whatever the area of the structure is, divide that by 200, and that's how many flood vents the engineers will particularly devise within this particular location. The HDC does require now that we do provide elevation certificates for any particular applications that they have within the particular flood zone. This application, the move on component of this application was approved under consent at this past Tuesday's HDC meeting. Was consent with conditions. The rest of the application is before the commission with regard to all the other work that's part of this particular request. We did, as I said, appear before the Coastal Resiliency Advisory Committee. You have their review within your packet, I believe. And most of it is recommendations, but I'll read the first paragraph. It's not that long. So it says, Crack's response to the Concom review request for Two Shore Road. According to Performance Standard 390-15, number 4 in the local wetland regulations, the applicant must be consistent with the town's coastal resiliency plan. It is the opinion of the town's Coastal Resiliency Advisory Committee that this application aligns with the CRP, but highly recommend that the delta between the top of grade and the bottom of pool should be increased to allow floodwaters to flow more freely. Along with the Conservation Commission's order of conditions, Crack wants to make the property owner aware of the following recommendations. And these are just general recommendations, kind of for somebody who is building in a flood zone, maybe that has never done that previously, and just some information regarding the nature of this particular area and the flooding that can or will occur in the future. The application itself does set forth the performance standards within land subject to coastal storm flowage. And it also provides information specific to each one of those standards. To get back to Crack's recommendation, the presentation that we made to them indicated a 12-inch separation between the pool itself and grade. They did ask about the ability to elevate this building higher than what we were proposing on this application. Right now, this shows the minimum, which is a flood zone +2, as I said, to elevation 10. The owner is more than willing to elevate that up to elevation 11, which would be a twofold help to the project. It would still meet the town's zoning requirements with regard to the height requirements and building in the flood zone. And then with that component too, I could have I could get the 2-foot separation between the bottom location of the pool and grade. So we do expect that we would prefer to elevate this to elevation 11 as opposed to 10. And then that accomplishes two issues that Crack had mentioned, the pool issue, but they also were asking if the building could be elevated higher than the elevation 10, and if there was anything that would prohibit the owner from doing that, whether it be zoning or HDC or anything like that. But we would, I think at this point, be more than willing to elevate this, that extra 1 foot to elevation 11. The building itself is, the addition itself is less than a 30-foot addition. The existing home is actually less than 30 feet to existing grade as it exists today. The Commissioner Brain was part of that hearing and did participate. I don't believe he is here tonight, but he did participate in that particular meeting with Crack. Back to the pool again, it would be an auto cover setup in order to, you would have the standard conditions that you would typically put in situations like this. As we had talked previously on some of the other applications, your new requirements with regard to a pool in the flood zone was that the provision that the pool water could not interact, that the pool itself could not interact with the flood waters. In this particular case, the flood zone is 8. Top of the pool would be at elevation 11. It's only a 4-foot pool itself. So any flood waters, if they did particularly rise in this particular case, the pool is elevated 3 feet above the actual flood zone. Top of the pool at 11, it's a 4-foot to the bottom. You'd then have a 2-foot separation to ground, which is in this particular area, approximately elevation 5. I'm happy to answer any questions that the commission may have with regard to the move itself. 92 Washington Street development was previously approved by this board. There was an order of conditions issued. A move off of that location has been approved, and the move on to this particular location has also been approved. And I'm happy to answer any questions that the board or concerned citizens might have.
Thank you. commissioners? Mike, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So Paul, are you saying that the foundation, are you going to be at elevation 11 or elevation 10?
I prefer, in this plan depicts the first floor at elevation 10. We would prefer, it was Crack's recommendation with regard to the pool and also the building itself. If we could get it higher, that they would like to see us do that, and the owner is willing to go to elevation 11. It's still, my first concern was that it would trigger some issue with the zoning component of it. But I think we do comply with the current regulations for building height within the flood zone. Now, the next question would be whether HTC had any particular issue with it.
Okay.
But the intent would be to take this to 11 if we could.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Linda is next. Okay, RJ.
So appreciate through the chair to you, the applicant, the effort to get the pool to the same height as the structures, because I've been saying for years, I think it's just good common practice. And I just have one question about, is that a utility pole that's got to get moved and those wires are going underground? Is that just to service the lot, or is that going over?
I'm not sure whether those overhead, there's 4 overhead wires that go over onto Union Street. So where that's going to go, I don't know, but to move the garage to where we want to put it, that pole is going to have to be dealt with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, just one other thing too, obviously at this particular area, it is serviced by town, municipal water and public sewer.
Linda, go ahead.
How are you gonna get it in there?
Warren's got it. Warren Ard is doing the move. He's got it figured out. I'm not sure which way he's coming or how he's getting there, but I'm not sure whether it has to be cut or it doesn't have to be cut, but they said it will get in there.
Not coming through Salt Marsh.
No, I don't think they've asked that, but
So the house is moving over from 92. Doesn't look anything like the house that's there. Are you lifting the house that's there also?
yes,
Am I missing that?
yes.
That's a big house. The disturbance over there is gonna be a massive. You've got a lot more going on than just moving that structure over there. You've got additions all over the place, changes to steps and things like that. I know the steps are because you're raising the building, RAISE. We've had concerns about those pools before. I appreciate the fact that you're trying to bring it up. Because we had the one down at the Brandt on North Beach Street. We were very particular about, you remember that, how far it came out of the ground.
Yeah.
And the one down on Easton Street, how
Easton
far
Street,
that
too.
came out of the ground. That was the first pool down there after those guys in Beachside. The existing garage that's over there on 92, is that coming over? And the existing garage on this property is going away?
No, the existing garage on this property was being moved just
Just staying there?
further away from Shore Road. It just, yeah, there's an existing shed and an existing garage on 92. Not sure what
Yeah.
the status of those
Oh, it's a
are.
nice garage over there. I think there's an awful lot going on this lot. I'm just having a little difficulty with it. Even look at my notes. And you're in the AE zone?
AE8.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the property, the 9 touches the back corner of the property,
Yeah.
but it's all in AE8.
I don't know, I'm just concerned about the amount of program that's going on in this lot. I've seen the water come right through Salt Marsh and right through there. I also know that there's been some issues with the bungalows that face Union, or what is that, Union Street over there? And flooding from this lot going to, I was involved with the lots over here with the flooding, bad flooding.
Mhm.
On the one on the corner and the one that used to, the one that was, we did a 4181L on it, and then you had the Elegant Dump Diner thing, 56 Union. There was flooding all through the backyards of those things. as they built this thing, it pushed the water into those guys. So I'm a little concerned that we're actually I'm appreciating the fact that you're lifting it and there's water is going to be able to go underneath it. But that's an awful lot of program on a lot that has already impacted some of its neighbors negatively. So I'm sort of on the fence on this. I know it probably meets all the guidelines, as you said, but I'm still having an issue with it, knowing this site really, really well.
John, go ahead.
Hi, Paul. Just a quick question is, I didn't see on that little 14 by 26 edition that that's the same elevation. It's not shown. Is that safe to assume that that's also going to be 11, that piece?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And then you're showing two HVAC units. Are those going to be like hung from the floor? Is that the idea there? So the water goes underneath them?
No, those are actually the ones that are existing.
Oh,
They'll have to be elevated somewhere else on the site.
they'll have to be moved. Okay. All right.
Those only have to be elevated to what the main flood elevation is, so they don't have to go to the elevation of the first floor, which would be,
Okay.
so they would have to be elevated at 8 or above.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
So I have a few questions related to the pool. Well, first of all, I appreciate the willingness to go to the elevation 11. I think it's just a little bit better on the site. But my question relates to how the pool is going to effectively act as an impervious surface. So a pool with auto cover, auto covers are designed to be a solid, watertight, impervious surface. And I'm assuming the spa too is going to have a solid cover on it as an impervious surface. So we're talking about 376 square feet of impervious surface being added to the area. I understand it's on a deck, which I'm assuming the deck is going to have adequate spacing to be pervious, but we still need to make sure that those features aren't pooling water and causing runoff or some type of washover, or changing the dynamic. So I'm wondering if there is any engineering solutions to redirect that water into drainage systems, or this isn't my area of expertise, so I just ask you to look at that.
Yep.
And in addition, with all the new roofing there with the new structures, just asking you to direct all of the roof runoff to subsurface infiltration as well, because our regulations, they talk about floodwaters, but they also talk about buffering inland areas from flooding and wave damage. Flooding could be caused not just by ocean water flow, but flooding can be caused by runoff as well. So we do have an obligation to make sure that all the water is absorbed and contained on site. And if you could describe some ways or look into ways that would be possible, I'd appreciate it.
Okay. So typically, and what I had mentioned previously was these are crawl spaces, and typically what we'll do is when we do the crawls, there will be a gravel surface that the roof runoff would then be sent down basically into that gravel surface. What we don't recommend or don't want to see is a rat slab or something like that gets put underneath these. Typically, we're looking for a gravel surface that the roof runoff is typically run down directly into that particular area. With regard to the pool and the cover, what the intent of the auto cover would be that in a rain event or something along that line, that pool could be theoretically closed, or the cover could be shut down. That way you're not elevating the ground, the rainwater interacting with the treated water in the pool. And you'll see a lot of these covers, they'll have a small pump that sits on, and then they'll drain the rainwater off of that way. And it's just rainwater getting moved, as opposed to in a heavy rainstorm, the pool water is risen, and where else? I mean, where's it gonna go? They backwash and it typically is gonna go out. So that's the purpose of the auto cover, was again, to try to be diligent if you could with it during the rain event, so to not have that rainwater interact, raise the level, and then now you've got chemical water that you got to get rid of.
I'm talking way out of my element here, but do they have environmental sensing auto covers that automatically close if it's raining? And if so, that would be
Yeah,
interesting.
I'm sure they probably do, Seth. But I don't know. I just know. I mean,
I think, I think requiring something like that, or also requiring that, a functioning sump pump be located on the site and inspected regularly would be prudent for our order of conditions. I don't have a general issue with the project, but it is within our obligation to make sure it runs as described. So,
and we did specify a saltwater pool too, but during the crack hearing, actually, there was reference that, that there might be information that the saltwater pools necessarily may not be just as, that the chlorine may be, so that was on the fence on whether the saltwater made a difference.
Saltwater pools aren't what they sound like.
Yeah. So it's.
Yeah, actually, it's a little bit worse.
I think it's, that's the indication was they felt it was probably worse than a chlorine
Anyways,
pool.
I mean, I just think these are things that we should condition or that we should look at. Because we can continue, or we can decide that we have the appropriate information to close and require these to be, amendments or minor mods or things like that, or conditions of the order. I do think though, that independent of verbal confirmation, we do need to permit projects with accurate plans of record. And so if the applicant's representative is saying they want to build this at elevation 11, but the plan of records is elevation 10, at minimum, we would need a new plan before we would close this. We're going to go to public comment as well, but yeah. Yes, Mike, go ahead.
Thank you. So auto covers have to end up in a trough anyways when they roll up, and there's usually a drain line in the trough, and that drain line could, at the very least, go into a prescribed area, subsurface. So
Again, I mean, this is the Conservation Commission, not the Engineering Commission. What our job is to tell them what we want it to do, and their job is to figure out how it's going to be done in compliance with the standard.
Okay, great. So if I could just, we'll see what the public comment is, and then we'll see what the tenor of the board is here. But I will say your next meeting is the 9th. I've got a potential, this move is contingent upon date specific, because they've got to move this project off the other structure. So the move is tentatively set for March 11th. So I'm going to have to make a decision at some point with regard to the entire project or just the pool or whatnot. But I don't think continuing till the 19th provides any issue for us, because I think the 19th still gives me that time that I would need. But we'll kind of go from there, and we'll make that, because your next meeting is the 19th.
19th.
Is that correct? Which is only 2 weeks, right?
Yes.
Okay. So
Any other commissioners at this time? Okay, we will go to public comment. If you're physically present in the room, approach the microphone. If you're on Zoom, raise your hands. Please introduce yourself with your name, any connection you may have to the project, and make your comment.
Yeah, my name is Christopher Scahill. I'm a butter neighbour at 91 Washington Street.
Thank you.
91 Washington Street. Just a couple of points that you have all addressed to a degree. I think the runoff from the pool is very, very important as to where it does disperse, because the grade down there, the water disbursement is very, very, very shallow. So I would request or ask for a design of how to eliminate said pool runoff before being given permission for the pool.
Thank you.
If you may. Thank you.
Yeah, generally what happens is we do tend to close hearings with conditions that say a plan for all infiltration must be submitted to commission. It must be submitted to the commission for review prior to construction or start of work of the project. We don't necessarily need to hold up the hearing in an open status for that, but we would condition it to that being available to this commission prior to start of work. I'm not sure. So, Paul, you don't happen to have an engineered plan with the elevation 11?
No, it's actually just changing what you have on your plan from 10 to 11.
Yeah,
It's
but
it's
you
a
don't-
fairly simple, but.
You
but I
don't
do
have a
not.
copy
I
that
do
says,
not.
you don't have a copy that says that.
What's that?
That's just being put on the table.
Yeah. So I guess, the board is probably not comfortable with closing. Let's ignore the 11th if I could, and this was staying at 10. Is the board comfortable with closing the hearing tonight, or were they were still looking for some other information with regard to the pool itself?
I think the commission wants information related to the pool design and the roof infiltration and the elevation of the property. I think that is information that could easily be provided before February 19th. But I do see we have another public comment. So go ahead, Paul.
Oh,
Your
if there's
thoughts.
another public comment, why don't you go ahead and take that first?
Karen Dixon, please introduce yourself with your name, any connection you may have to the project, and then make your comment.
Hi there, Karen Dixon. I am in a butter to Francis Street. I just would have concerns, just given that there is more density on this property, just any potential impact that it might have to our property in terms of runoff. I know that we're on the opposite side of a lot of the building, but that area is in general, we've had issues with flooding from all directions. So, I would just want to make sure that this is not going to negatively impact our property.
Thank you.
And if I could.
Go ahead, Paul.
Maybe ask a question to the board, specifically Linda. If I've got to move on March 11th, let's just say, is that a stretch for me to be back here on the 19th? And if I could seek, let's just assume I've got approval for the move on the 19th. I mean, that should be.
I'll give you our regulatory required answer, and then I'll give you my answer of my personal opinion. The
Okay.
regulatory required answer is we can't constrain the actions of any future board, so I can't promise you we close it or not. My personal opinion is that I think if we get all that information, that we would have the information to close at the 19th. But
Okay,
I-
I'm
we can't-
comfortable with
can't
that.
promise it.
Okay,
Will, go ahead.
There's also, it would be even more down to the wire and more stressful, but there's one more meeting March 5th.
oh, I don't want to go to that.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
you'd
either,
also
but
be-
if you're,
You'd also be within the
Yeah.
the waiver.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah,
I personally think we'll have everything we need at the 19th, but I'm just one person, so.
Yeah.
It's up to you.
actually, there's one other thing that Crack did mention too, that might be pertinent to what I'm trying to, for the 19th too. And although we didn't propose any landscaping with this, there was no grade change or anything, they did in their report, please consider using native plants and landscaping as they're more resilient to flooding and adapted to the Nantucket sandy and salty soils. So that was part of that may be a way to incorporate some landscape, some features that would help with what we're talking about tonight.
Yeah, I'm a gravel, like drainage area is great, but drainage area
Yeah.
that is made of native shrubs is a lot better,
Yeah.
so.
Perfect.
We
Okay.
would welcome those additions. Any other commissioners at this point? Any other members of the public? Seeing not, Paul, you would like to continue to February 19th?
Yes, I would. Thank you.
This will continue to February 19th.
Great.
Thank you. And now, Linda, you can handle 113 Eel Point Road, SC 48 3960 as I'm recused.
Oh, yeah, all right. So you just get to do the. No. Mike's off. Seth left it off to the side so that he could open the two that he can sit on. So this one, all you've got to do is just ask if any members of the commission want to open the hearing, or if any members of the public want to open the hearing. And huh?
Yeah, but you gotta open. John, any comment, John? You're okay? John, you're muted.
It's, you can just ask the question, and if nobody raises their hand, we're good.
No comments? It's on no waivers required.
I'm fine with it.
Members of the public? None. Now you vote.
There you go.
Motion to close 113 Eagle Point Road.
Second,
Is there a second?
John, second.
second.
Aye.
Aye.
RJ,
Aye.
Aye.
John.
Aye.
Good job.
We survived.
Seth, welcome back.
Thank you, Linda. No, we did Alan's name before you got here. All right. So we will be moving on in our agenda to section B, notice of intent waiver required, of which we have one. That is Nantucket Allen's Land Bank at 41 Jefferson Avenue, SC 483959, represented by Art Casparo. Art, good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm before you tonight with the project down at the end of Jefferson Ave on behalf of the Land Bank. This is the opposite side from the Galley Restaurant. And we are proposing to remove the existing structures. There's a lot of site features there, walls, planters, walkways, that sort of thing. And what we're proposing to do is to restore a large portion of the area with essentially a constructed dune. And then one portion of the existing structure would be relocated from the west side to the east side of the property. And then we propose a Moby mat to replace the existing boardwalk, and then one short new section along that structure that would tie to that. And it would go through the dune area to provide access to the recreational beach. We are proposing to expand the parking area in place of where the structures are that would be removed. So there's an existing parking lot there, and we're looking to reconfigure that and add some additional parking, again, for public use for access to the land bank property and the beach. We believe there is significant net benefit from this project. The structural area, which we've included this on the plan for you, being removed, is approximately 5,400 square feet. The restored the area that would be planted with beach grass, goldenrod, and bayberry, I believe, is about 7,800 square feet. There would be some sand fill that would be brought in, and some dune fencing, sand fencing, snow fencing. Make sure I use the right term here, to help to capture some of that windblown sand. And then we'd propose an area between the parking lot and that dune, where we know that historically, especially over the winter, there's windblown sand that ends up in the parking lot. So we'd like to collect that sand, for as regular maintenance, put it in where we have this sort of, we call it reservoir collection area, and then it could be used to distribute and continue to enhance that dune. We had gone through working with Woods Hole Group some design iterations of that dune, and decided that we actually would hold the crest down a foot from where we thought the design elevation would be, to allow for additional accumulation of sand in that area. The improvement in terms of horizontal distance away from the resource area is approximately 67 square feet, where we'd be moving back and clearing out all of those structures. To back up just a little bit, this is all within coastal dune. Essentially, it's altered coastal dune, been maintained for many years. It's within land subject to coastal storm flowage. There's a portion that is within the historic high tide line, so we would be seeking a Chapter 91 license after this for that constructed dune and the work. The relocated structure is the only portion that's really sort of in that one piece of Moby mat that would be going over onto what is essentially sand area now. The rest of the work is really within the disturbed and impervious area on the site. So again, we believe that the reductions in structural area, the increase of restoration area, the increase of horizontal distance for the from the sound are all significant improvements. There's also residential uses that are all being removed, and the structure that's being relocated would be just used for storage purposes, so it wouldn't be hooked to sewer or anything like that, for beach maintenance equipment and Moby mat storage in the winter, that sort of thing. So with that, I would be happy to try to address any and we will need to continue, Mr. Chairman, as we're waiting for response from Natural Heritage.
Thank you. Commissioners, questions or comments? Linda, go ahead.
I know this site very well. Some of the parking spaces belong to the two elevated houses, Huffman's and the other one. And Jane's up on
I
top,
can
up
jump
top that
in.
hill. Are they in here somewhere?
So if through you, Mr. Chairman,
Through you, Mr. Chairman.
those are to the south of the limit of work shown on the plan. There is an easement area. For clarity and purposes of this plan, we didn't label all of the easements, but essentially if you scroll down where it says paver block parking area,
Yep.
and it's south of our limit of work, that area remains for the per deeded easement to the Limulus Holdings to the south.
How do they get to them when you have parking?
There is a
Blocking
curb
them.
cut that
No,
exists.
that's the first curb cut on that thing. Yeah, I
Yeah,
got it.
that,
Because there are two curb cuts there right now.
yes, ma'am.
Okay. I think frankly, it's a net benefit, but the big, huge thing, which used to be a small little thing before they added the second floor. The two cottages have been there forever, and I think this is fantastic. Expensive, but fantastic.
Other commissioners? Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Art, is this on the snow fence? It says proposed snow fence typical. Is that going to be like removed per season, or is it going to be the snow fence with the slats and the wire?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, yes, it'd be snow fence with slats and wire, would not be removed. The anticipated actually is going to get, somewhat buried, and whether you would need to adjust or add another row, coming up, but no, the intention, unless there was some reason that the wind actually took it off and it needed to be adjusted down, but it would be, there would not be an intention of taking that in and out. Again, we're looking for maximum stabilization of that area.
Okay.
And the sand doesn't move around a lot down there.
And each of the green lines is a representation of where a fence would be.
Yes, there's 3 rows of sand fence or snow fence, as you will, as described by Commissioner Miserelli. What we're all familiar with, the wire supported slats, and we would use wood oak stakes to support that.
Like it's a cliffside next to it.
Okay, other commissioners?
No, it's gonna be weird.
Could you talk a little bit about the proposed knee walls that are going around the parking area and what the purpose of that is? And, that's gonna be a structural element, so.
So there currently is a series of sort of pile type driven walls that retain the sand out of the parking area. And if we didn't have anything at all, so the idea is to sort of match what's there. They would just be a couple of feet. It's almost like a extended curb, if you will, in order to have some definition between the loose windblown sand and the parking area, so that it's not just sloughing in there.
What's it made out of?
So
It will be wooden or?
yes, timber.
Like the one that's on the street side between the two.
That's what's
entrances.
envisioned,
Yeah.
is something similar to what's there. And again, we show where we would tie into that wall that was there, and it would go right along the edge of the parking, again, with the intent just being to not have sand kind of all completely pouring in. It gives you a good delineation for the limit of maintenance on the parking surface to the sand surface. Otherwise, it just get buried.
I have a question that I don't know the answer to, and then I have another annoying thing that we'll have to deal with. But so the Chapter 91 license, is the order of conditions required to apply for the license, or can you apply for them contemporaneously?
No, it's a prerequisite.
Okay. Sounds
It's a
good. No worries.
checklist, right?
I figured you guys know more than me. It also seems like the description of the sand fencing in the notice of intent and what you're saying today they're not matching. It's saying here to be like this zigzag pattern with pressure treated timbers, which is more like what I expect to be the permanent ones, not the wooden wire. So if we could get clarity on it, I think
I will. That came from Woods Hole Group, so I will. Perhaps that's my misunderstanding, and if that,
Yeah.
I'll clarify that. I expected it was the snow fence, but if certainly.
Yeah, if you could clarify that, I think it's probably widely well known that I'm very much against the slat and wire fencing. I just think it always gets loose and always causes debris in the marine environment. So if we just get clarify on that.
If I may, back to you, Mr. Chair. So the preference in fact would be more like a picket fence.
My preference, but I'm just one person. But
Thank you.
I'm with you.
yeah.
It's not a hill that I'm gonna die on, but I think from a safety standpoint, there're probably gonna be kids and stuff running around down there. It'd be better than having the wire that could potentially break loose. If the applicant would consider that.
That's helpful. Thank you.
And then we'll talk about the part that's probably going to sound annoying to everybody, but it's not going to matter anyways because the waiver is being requested. It's going to probably make this conversation relatively moot. But if you read the definition of coastal engineering structure under our Nantucket wetlands regulations, it says multiple rows of fencing would be considered a coastal engineering structure. So I do think we need to permit this as a coastal engineering structure, and we need to waiver it as such.
Or reduce them.
I mean, it seems like the point of having the multiple rows of fencing is scientifically relevant to catch the sand and build up the dune in the area.
Mhm.
I completely agree with that design from an ecological perspective. regulatorily though, it specifically called out in the regulations that multiple rows of fencing is a coastal engineering structure. So I do think we need to treat it as such. But I mean, I think that long-term net benefit here, and I think the significant public benefit waivers apply, but we need to permit things appropriately.
I agree. You're just a font of all knowledge on fences.
It can be annoying, but I mean, I wouldn't want to have the word say something than what we're doing. Art, do you have something to say?
We could request that waiver for the next meeting formally if you prefer. I mean, I wonder about, maybe that's it for future definition, but these fences are spaced out, right? But I get that if you read the, I think the
Yeah.
intent was the multiple rows that were close, but I understand that.
I think we need to edit the definition, as I've said before, but but if it says multiple rows and we don't clarify what multiple rows means, I would hate to, do that and not permit it, right? But you can request the waiver, or we can just, as a commission, grant it. It's within our. Yeah, I know, but it's within our authority. So if you'd like to request it, please do so. Other commissioners. Okay, questions or comments from members of the public? We do have one, let's bring them over. Please introduce yourself with your name, any connection you may have to the project, and make your comment.
Hi, I'm Ann Young Orr, and my brother Jay Young and my husband Paul Orr are also part of this Zoom call. We are abutters to this land bank proposal. We're at 43 Jefferson, and our family has owned and loved that property since the early 70s. So we appreciate the opportunity to comment on the proposal today, and obviously there's no question that removal of these buildings will have a very positive impact on the beach, and we really applaud the land bank for moving them to provide affordable housing. But we do have three specific concerns as they affect our property directly. The first is the proposed relocation of the storage garage, which would move it directly across directly alongside, I should say, our property line. We understand that there is a potential for putting bathrooms or porta potties either in or near that garage, which means the smells, the sounds, you can imagine, will flow right into our back door, and which is usually open in the summer, and with the prevailing winds from the southwest, it will make it even worse. Our second concern is the proposed location of the Moby mat, which will connect both the garage and the parking lot to the beach. And its proposed location will mean that all of these visitors will be, their access will be right alongside our cottage, which could mean they will be looking directly into our windows while we are in our pajamas or in other matters. It's a small cottage. So in terms of both concerns, we ask that the proposal be amended to keep the storage garage where it is, abutting Jefferson Avenue. This makes the waiver to move the garage onto the sand unnecessary. And we also ask that the Moby mat be relocated further west, maybe closer to where the garage is now. In addition, our third and final concern is the creation of what looks like a 5-foot dune. And we're wondering why the dune, and is it necessary to add all this sand to the property? We have serious concerns that the net effect will be that the sand will build up over time against our western wall. And the sand will eventually blow into our windows, onto our porch, and onto our property. So those are our three concerns. We were grateful for the opportunity to state them today, and hope you will give them serious consideration. Let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you. Unfortunately, your concerns for points 1 and 2, while I'm sensitive to them, are outside of our jurisdiction. Any issues related to bathrooms or smells or things like that need to be directed to the Board of Health. And, you know, the other thing about the relation of the proposed, or the location of the proposed Moby mat and people accessing that close to your property and maybe seeing in your windows, it doesn't really affect our role as a wetland regulatory board. I think obviously those things are important, and in maintaining good neighbor relations, nobody wants that, but it's outside of this board's ability to have a jurisdictional review. So you could talk with the land bank about that, or, you know, there might be other resources available to you. In relation to number 3, related to the dune and the sand, I'll direct that to the applicant's representative to describe the function of that dune.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the idea for the dune is really as part of the restoration to create, instead of this having been a altered dune, essentially an extended, maintained beach, that it would be more in line with, we believe, coastal resource area, you know, restoration to create, you know, dune as defined as any hill, mound, or ridge, and vegetating that. So then you would have, you know, some definition between the existing recreational beach area. And then again, we're trying to have this be a net benefit, positive project in terms of environmental interests. It's and this is the area that we feel that we could do that by, you know, and we're not building that dune. We're limiting the height of that to create that dune type effect in terms of being a mound with a ridge, and then including those plantings. There's already a tremendous amount of windblown sand, the windblown sand that's going to continue to come in, which already does against their structure as it does the other structures there, I think is mostly off of the, you know, the flat beach from the northerly winds as well. And with respect to the, so again, we believe that by constructing the dune, instead of just leaving that all as a flat area, it's more in line with the interest protected by the commission for replacing that structural area. The Moby mat is going where the boardwalk is now, and we actually did have a design iteration with it along that property line, and through some iterations decided that, you know, part of, I think, also being a good neighbor, because we had considered that we wouldn't want it to go through that dune area, so maybe it should go along the edge. But in this case, we're trying to meet, you know, balance out what we can, and that way there we put it, it's really no different. It's going, and it's probably, I'm just eyeballing this, some 30 feet away from that structure. I do know it is important to the land bank to be good neighbors. And again, there's no sewer line that's proposed to this structure. I know you said it's not in your interest, but you know, in terms of if we were to do it, I believe that would be subject to your jurisdiction if it was to, you know, install an infrastructure like that, and that's not shown here, not proposed. And I specifically asked the question.
Thank you. Yeah, just one thing before. I think she may be referring to the extension of the Moby mat, and I mean, some of it aligns with where the boardwalk was, but it is going to be larger in scope, but we could get clarification on that. So Linda, go ahead.
Moby mats for handicap accessibility, which they are now required to provide. But you're not planning on taking down that fence, the wood board fence between this property and their property? Because right
No.
now, there is a tall fence there.
It's shown on the plan, and
Yeah,
there's no
so
intent
that's
to
remaining.
remove that.
Are there going to be bathroom facilities at this beach?
I don't know, not that I've proposed, or I don't
It's
know
not,
about it.
it's not within our purview.
I know, I'm just curious what that building is over here. That's being.
Not in
done
the
from there to
building that's
there.
being relocated, that I could address.
Okay,
If there are, they're going to have to be going through other reviews. So
yeah. And the Moby mat is actually approximate the handicap spaces, which is required to be. And it's a good 30 feet away from that fence, which does separate their property. I know her property well from this property. So I appreciate her concerns, but I think it's not going to end up as she fears it might.
Okay, we'll go to Burton Balkan. Please introduce yourself with your name and any connection you may have to the project and make a comment.
Thank you, Chairman. Burton Balkine, no connection in the project. I'm speaking on behalf of myself. And I just want to say this is the kind of project that as someone that pays attention to the Conservation Commission and the island at large in general, this is the kind of project that I think we should all be behind to some degree, because retreating buildings away from shorelines is probably going to be more in the future. And these kind of projects that the land bank is spearheading in this instance is just what we need, moving houses out of harm's way and also providing housing down the road with those buildings, not destroying them and sending them to the landfill. So I just want to thank Art and the land bank for this type of project. I think it's just what the island needs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll go to Joseph Young. Please introduce yourself for the record with your name, any connection you may have to the project, and make a comment. You need to unmute.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hi, Joseph Young, brother to Ann Orr and an abutter to 41 Jefferson at 43 Jefferson. Just a follow-up question regarding the placement of the garage. I didn't hear about the potential of leaving the garage where it is. And then my other question was concerning if that garage could remain where it is it possible to move the Moby mat to the western side of the proposed dune? And then lastly, it is a follow-up, but is there any way to mitigate the amount of blow of this proposed dune, 5-foot dune, the blowing sand into our cottage, which will occur around all the seasons with a westerly breeze? Is there any way to mitigate that potential of sand blowing into the structure, into our structure?
I'll relay your garage location questions to the applicant, but before I do, maybe I just am a little bit more used to this than people, but dunes accumulate sediment. Windblown sand comes off the beach. The point of a dune, especially a vegetated dune, is to capture that sediment. Having a dune in place is probably the type of mitigation that you want. It's probably going to keep it from blow. It's probably going to blow less with it being constructed and vegetated than it does now. I know it seems like it's a little paradoxical because you're putting up sand and building it up, but that's what the point of a coastal dune is. So I'll direct the garage questions to Art.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just start to segue onto that, but in some respects, to answer Mr. Young directly, yes, the vegetation of the dune, to your point, will help to capture some of that sand and accumulate it, as well as the zigzag fence. What happens, we all know, or most people know, but I think just take a second to the purpose of a zigzag fence is that when that particular matter is captured by the wind, it hits the sand picket and falls and accumulates there instead of continuing on. So that really is the mitigating effect, I think, there for that point. In terms of the relocated structure, again, they're as part of the overall project, we're really trying to get some parking here for the enjoyment of the wetland resource areas, and by moving that structure, it enables us to have a sort of a regularized parking area there. There'd be quite a loss of the way we have the ability to get some parking in there, and we believe that again, we'll be moving that either way in order to get the other part of these structures out of there. So it's, we sort of see it as again, an overall benefit to condense all of that. Otherwise, for example, in considering an alternative, you'd be extending the parking over to the west in exchange for leaving that other structure there, right? If we were trying to still achieve, and it'd still be at net structural reduction and increased restoration area. So again, and we had design iterations so that that I had parking, extending over that area. And again, as we worked on this as a team, this is what we came back to for sort of working to meet, I think, the interests of the commission and still achieve the objective of the project and the property for the land bank and public use.
Thank you. And I'll just add in terms of our protected interest of wetland scenic views, having the garage in the proposed relocated location versus as in place will provide much more benefit to that interest. Any other public comment? Any other commissioner comment? We need to continue. So Art, would you like to continue to
The
February
19th.
19th?
Yes, please.
This will continue to February 19th. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have no amended orders of conditions tonight. We will move on to the public meeting under orders of conditions. And Linda, you can start with the 113 Ill Point Road for us. Yeah, you gotta do the order for it though.
The computer was not cooperating. No, so we just had lighting on this one. It was just a set of wooden beach stairs within coastal beach and land subject to coastal storm flowage. We had 18, 19 and lighting just in case.
Any comments about this?
Just a question through you. What is it? This doesn't need fill, does it? Or is it just for where this landing is?
There won't be, I'm fairly certain there's no fill.
Okay.
These conditions 18 and 19 always go in. This condition 19 could be deleted in this case.
Well, I mean, leave it in.
But I
don't
pretty
remember
much
seeing it.
leave it in.
Okay.
Yeah.
No problem.
Motion to approve, Madam Chair.
Second.
Okay, seconded. All those in favor, Mike?
Aye.
RJ?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
There somewhere. And myself.
Pilot John.
Okay.
Aye.
That one out. Where are we going next? The only one we have.
No, we do have,
Oh, good. All right. So you guys issued that one? All right. That will go to Tejada at 1 Allen's Lane, SC 483961. We'll set this out and can get it up on the screen for us.
Whoa, where'd it go? All right, I've got 1 Allen's Lane. This order permits the proposed construction of a secondary dwelling with crawl space foundation, expansion of a gravel driveway, and 650 square feet of mitigation planting at 1 Allen's Lane within buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland. No waiver required. Conditions 18, 19, condition 20 for lighting. 21, no fertilizer or other ag chemicals are allowed within commission jurisdiction. 22, all plantings and seedings shall be native species with no cultivars allowed. 23, should the project area show less than 50% regrowth of native species within the first 2 years and 6 months of the permit, the applicant shall file a new notice or amendment for supplementing the area with native plantings and seedings. 24, pre and post growing season monitoring reports containing photographs of the restoration area shall be submitted to the commission. And I'm going to change that to mitigation area. My bad. 25, all reports are required annually until a certificate of compliance is issued. And that is it.
Required annually by the anniversary of the order.
And then let me just change restoration to mitigation.
They need to change orders a little bit. In 25, it needs to be probably a capital O and an apostrophe S.
Yes.
Okay, anything else? Is there a motion to issue the order of conditions as amended?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you
Second.
both. By roll call vote, Mike Nazarelli,
Aye.
Roger Turcott,
Aye.
Linda Williams.
Aye.
Joe Pandowski.
Aye.
John Schaefer.
Aye.
Seth Engelberg, aye. That carries unanimously. That's it for orders. We have no RDAs. We have one minor mod, the Pops Lane Holding Trust at 3 Pops Lane, represented by Brian Madden.
And I am recused from that one.
Linda is recused. Brian, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you very much. For the record, Brian Madden from LEC, representing the applicant. This minor modification is for some minimal updates to the original order of condition that was issued in 2024. There's also an amendment issued in last October. So this is a further reduction in the scope of work, basically some reconfiguration of the decking and elimination of an addition, relocation of the pool further away from the resource area, so it's just partially within the 100-foot buffer zone, and relocation of the garage outside of buffer zone, along with landscaping, utilities, and dry well updates. No changes to the limit of work, and everything has been approved by HDC. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, commissioners. Any questions or comments? Is there a motion to approve the minor modification?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you both. By roll call vote, Mike Mazzarelli,
Aye.
Roger Turcott,
Aye.
Joe Pandowski,
Aye.
John Schaefer.
Aye.
Seth Engelberg, aye. That carries unanimously among those sitting, with Commissioner Williams recused.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to be recused from 34 Westchester.
Okay. No certificates of compliance. Extension requests, Hagedorn, 34 Westchester Street and 3 Westco Place. I see 483390 with Commissioner Mizzarelli recused. And who's going to represent this?
I
I
can.
don't know that there's any. Oh, is that
It's me.
Brian?
Yeah.
Brian, you doing it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody.
Good evening again.
Good evening. Brian Madden from LEC, representing the property owner applicant. So this was an order of condition that was issued back in 2021 by virtue of the Mass Leads Act. It's valid until March 3rd, 2026. So we did file this extension request 30 days in advance of that expiration. But the original approval involved invasive species management and vegetative restoration, along with relocation of existing driveway, construction of retaining walls, and conversion, installation of a greenhouse. Those, the driveway, retaining walls, and greenhouse were all completed. The initial invasive species management and vegetative restoration work has been completed, but as we all know, that's an ongoing effort. And so therefore the applicant is requesting a 3-year extension to the order to continue that work.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments? A motion to approve the 3 1-year extensions to this order.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you both. By roll call vote, Artie Turcotte,
Aye.
Linda Williams,
Aye.
Joe Planowski,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Seth Engelberg, aye. That carries unanimously among those sitting, with Commissioner Miserelli recused.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. For other business, approval of minutes from January 22nd, 2026. Commissioners, any questions, comments, or additions to the minutes?
Motion to approve is submitted.
Thank you both. By roll call vote, Mike Miserelli,
Aye.
Archie Turcotte,
Aye.
Linda Williams,
Aye.
Joe Pandowski,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Seth Engelberg, aye. That carries unanimously. Monitoring reports. We do have some in the packet from the land bank. As always, if you have questions, direct them to Will and he will get them answered for you. Next, we have an update to the Coastal Resiliency Advisory Committee review procedures related to applications for land subject to coastal storm flowage that need to be evaluated for compliance with the Coastal Resiliency Plan. Will, would you like to go over this with us?
Sure thing. So I've got options for you. There's a 2-page memo that Director Carlson put together and is in your packet. I'm happy to read the 1.5-page memo or whatever, or if you guys just have any questions, or if you'd like a super basic overview. But essentially, we're memorializing our intention to kind of streamline this crack review process. We're going to have these this checklist that Leah, Jeff, Vince, and I developed. This will go to Leah first. We'll have an initial review. She'll be able to channel applications towards crack. Basically, if you guys would like to adopt this as our procedure, then I think we can take a vote and we will include this in our policies and procedures and get it online. But I think this makes a lot of sense. And if you want me to read the memo, just tell me.
I read the memo. I read through the proposed staff review on the application, and I'm highly in support of this process. So unless anyone has concerns, I'll take a motion
If you're
to
happy, I'm happy.
memorialize the staff review process at this time.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you both. By roll call vote, Mike Miserelli,
Aye.
Archie Turcotte,
Aye.
Linda Williams,
Aye.
Joe Pandowski,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Seth Engelberg, aye. That carries unanimously. Committee reports.
Where are you going?
The Coastal Resiliency Advisory Committee, our representative is not here. Community Preservation Committee,
Nothing new, waiting for the next meeting.
Nantucket Planning and Economic Development Commission.
So we did not have a January 17th meeting or whatever. I'm sorry, whatever the day was. I think it was the 20 something because of the town buildings were closed for snow. But we did meet this afternoon with the Finance Committee to review Article 74, which is going to be on the town meeting warrant. They had some questions. There's going to be another meeting on February 17th with the petitioners who have an opposing article. Hopefully we can get it down to one, but that's where it sits right now. One article that is for town meeting.
Thank you. Harbor Plan
Still
Update
waiting.
Committee. That's unfortunate.
They said after the first of the year, but here we
Yeah.
are.
All right. Enforcement actions and potential enforcement actions. We have one listed. Before we get to that, Will, do we have any new and emerging issues to come before your desk?
We don't that are going to become enforcements as of yet.
Okay. Let's talk about 34A Grove Lane.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
So I have a pretty last minute update, but Tori, who is Tori Ewing, I think I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah.
She's their representative as of right now. She has not been able to connect to the meeting. She's traveling, but I also know that they have not secured an engineer yet.
And they haven't done anything to fix it.
Which we've been in contact. They know that they minimally are going to need an as-built of what's already occurred and a wetlands delineation. They know they need a surveyor and an engineer, but I've literally just received word that they don't have one yet. So we can determine next steps or amend an enforcement order or
Yeah, this seems.
I'd like to do something.
This seems like a example of purposeful delay or
Mhm.
delay. I'm not sure if it's by malice or negligence, but we should move towards discussing a civil penalty to assess until
We get a response.
said response can and remediation of the violation can take place. So I would prefer that we have town council weigh in on this. I would like to request that we amend this enforcement order to inquire with town council services about assessing a civil penalty for the violation.
Okay.
Will, does that seem acceptable?
yeah. And I just to clarify, I don't think we need to amend the EO to get that info from town council. I think maybe we secure that info and then I'll amend the EO to reflect
Okay.
what
So
the
let's get the request for legal services filled out right away and get town council's opinion about the civil penalty, and we'll move from there.
I'll make that motion.
We don't need a motion. It
Are you
sounds like.
sure?
Yeah.
Because I know all the other boards to go to town council, we needed to vote on it. Libby was pretty strict about that.
you
Well,
can just for fun.
Let's vote for it.
Just for fun.
Let's vote for it. A motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. By roll call vote, Mike Nazarelli,
Aye.
Arjun Turcott,
Aye.
Linda Williams,
Aye.
Joe Pondowski,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Seth Ingberg, aye. That carries unanimously. Does anybody think that there are additional methods or strategies that we need to employ at this time to get this property into compliance? Are we okay with moving forward with the process as is?
I think we need to move forward. I think hopefully that'll get some reaction.
Okay. John, go ahead.
Have we summoned them yet to come before
Yes.
us?
Yes, they were, enforcement issue was made and amended requiring them to appear at tonight's meeting.
Ah,
with a
okay.
Representative and no representative of any sort is present.
All right, time to
It took
move.
them a long time to respond in the first place.
It's actually the second
Yeah.
missed meeting.
Second missed meeting,
Yeah.
yeah,
So we're
someone
done.
sort of vaguely came on by accident at the last meeting, but
I remember now.
it's a clear, it's a clear pattern of not taking the violation seriously. And again, I won't weigh in on whether it's because of negligence or malice, but it is not being taken seriously in the eyes of this commission.
Yeah.
So we will proceed with every tool in our toolkit necessary and until the violation is remediated and full compliance is restored. Okay.
Yep. All over that.
Commissioners' comments.
Another great meeting, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. John?
This is for Will, I guess. Have we been able to take any steps about informing all of our applicants about the requirement to go before all the other boards? Have we like been able to put that on the website or some sort of checklist yet? I mean, it came up at the last meeting, remember?
Yeah, Will, and I briefly talked about it. Did we get it up on the website?
So I have a policies and procedures document that's going to go up probably early next week, and that'll be in there. I've been I will say, just to comment on that, John, I've been sending out a lot of links to the Mass General Law and Town Bylaw to at least show people where it is. But I have a couple updates to the website that are going to be coming probably next week.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Thank you.
The commissioners? Okay, staff reports.
I have one brief comment on one topic. I'm sure we're all super aware of the damage that recently occurred to the geotubes.
I was gonna bring that up.
Well, that's the point of this comment. So really, my only comment right now is just to clarify that an investigation is being conducted by the Nantucket Police Department. These ladies and gentlemen right across the hall. We do not intend to comment as Natural Resources Department, and Town Council has advised that we don't comment until an investigation has concluded and they can make the appropriate recommendations. Obviously, if some sort of emergency is declared, then we may be stepping in some other role to issue some sort of emergency certification, but I'm really peeking into the future at this point, but that's really it. Figured I should say something about that situation tonight, but we do anticipate discussing the matter at an upcoming meeting. What meeting? I can't say. Crystal ball is unclear.
I do have to say it's pathetic behavior.
No, you haven't been recognized. I will say that, and I'm gonna make sure my comments are very brief and very focused, but it's not within our role to interfere with investigations. But the reality is that no matter what happened on the site, there is a situation of non-compliance. And ultimately, this board will need to deal with that violation. In dealing with violations, the Conservation Commission has the ability to issue violations against property owners, permit holders, contractors, and individuals that somehow cause violations. And if there are determined to be multiple actors related to violations, each of them will be held compliant.
Oh, yes.
I do think it is within our best jurisdictional role, however, to post Baxter Road geotubes on enforcement actions for every meeting from now until there is a decision to talk about it. And if we don't
But not to
talk,
take any action.
if we
just
don't
to
talk
wait.
about it, it will be
Okay.
deleted. But yeah, it should be posted for when information is available. So Linda, do you have a
No,
question
I
or
just
comment?
think it's people who have been opposed, we know that. And I think it's disgusting, irresponsible behavior for somebody in this island to do that.
Let's not get into opinions yet.
Yeah.
We have no idea what happened. Mike, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So my question is, do we, who has the authority to issue an emergency? Is that come by the police? Does it select board? Do we do that? Do we know who potentially could do that in the future?
Yeah,
Issue the
we
emergency.
have that capacity. So like, let's say theoretically the road breached, just like in any property, if there is a emergency that is, well, there's a specific list, but basically imminent danger to health and human safety is generally what we're talking about. We have, actually, Will has the ability to do that.
Through you, even for me to do that, it does have to be declared an emergency by either the health department, the building
Yeah.
department. In this case, it could be like CZM,
Yeah.
could be the select board, but we can't declare an
We
emergency.
can't declare an emergency, but we can allow projects to proceed under emergency certification if an emergency has been declared.
Right.
Yes, we would need to, and then emergency certifications ultimately do need to become notice of intents. But yes, it is not up to us to declare emergencies, but we have the full ability to respond if an emergency happens and is declared.
All right. Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah, no.
Okay, any other staff reports?
That's really it. That was the one
All right.
tonight.
Motion
At this
to
point, is there a
adjourn.
motion to adjourn? Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Linda. By roll call vote, Mike Mazzarelli,
Aye.
Archie Turcott,
Aye.
Linda Williams, Joe Pandowski.
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Seth Engelberg, aye. That carries unanimously. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
See you guys.
See you,
Have a good night.
John.
Yeah, we're gonna reschedule. We're just gonna do it next year.